In the small, divided town of Riverton, there were two families living on opposite ends of the social spectrum. The Millers, a wealthy family, owned the largest business in town, a prosperous textile factory. On the other side were the Garcias, a hardworking immigrant family who had struggled to make ends meet since they arrived in Riverton. The town's economic disparity created a palpable tension between the two families. The Millers were seen as aloof and indifferent to the struggles of the working class, while the Garcias were viewed with suspicion and resentment by those who felt threatened by their presence and labor. This unspoken feud simmered for years, with neither side willing to understand the other's perspective. David Miller, the eldest son of the Millers, had just returned from college with a degree in business management and a head full of ideas on how to modernize the family factory. He was ambitious, confident, and eager to prove himself. Meanwhile, Maria Garcia, the eldest daughter of the Garcias, had just graduated from high school as valedictorian and was determined to help her family financially before pursuing higher education. One fateful summer, a severe storm struck Riverton, causing widespread flooding and damage. The Millers' factory, located near the river, was severely affected. The machinery was damaged, and the factory faced an indefinite shutdown. This threatened not only the Millers' wealth but also the livelihood of many townspeople, including the Garcias, who depended on the factory for work. As the town grappled with the aftermath, David was tasked with finding a solution to get the factory running again. He quickly realized that he needed all the help he could get. Despite his initial hesitation, he approached the townspeople, including the Garcias, to enlist their support. Maria saw this as an opportunity to bridge the divide. She stepped forward and offered to help organize the cleanup and repair efforts, leveraging her strong ties within the community. Her empathy for her fellow townspeople, regardless of their backgrounds, motivated her to bring everyone together for a common cause. Initially, the collaboration was fraught with mistrust and miscommunication. Maria had always believed David was a spoiled rich kid that didn't understand the value of hard work. He came back home to oversee operations at the factory, a position she felt should have been offered to someone local. She had spent years working tirelessly for the betterment of the community, earning their trust and respect. To her, David represented an outsider who didn't understand the town's struggles or the people's values. Maria couldn't shake the feeling that he viewed her efforts as trivial. David, on the other hand, thought Maria was up to something. He wasn't sure if he could trust her. He respected her dedication to the community but found her approach impractical for the factory's operations. To him, Maria seemed more interested in rallying people around emotional causes than in finding pragmatic solutions. Although Maria was the main reason he had public support, he was wary of her intentions. However, as days turned into weeks, David and Maria began to see each other in a new light. One evening, as they were working late at the factory, David and Maria found themselves taking a break together. "Why did you decide to help?" David asked, wiping sweat from his brow. Maria hesitated before answering. "Because this town is my home. And even though our families have their differences, we all depend on this factory. Besides," she added with a small smile, "I saw you were struggling." David chuckled, "I guess I was. I've never had to deal with something like this before. College didn't exactly prepare me for a real crisis." Maria nodded, "It's different when you see the real impact on people's lives. My family, we've had our share of struggles. Sometimes, it feels like no one really sees us." David looked at her, the weight of her words sinking in. "I'm sorry, Maria. I've been so focused on the business side of things, I never thought about how it affected families like yours." Maria smiled gently, "It's okay. We're here now, working together. That's what matters." Through these conversations, empathy grew between them. David began to understand the real impact of his family's business decisions on the lives of their employees. Maria, in turn, saw the human side of the Millers, realizing they, too, had their own struggles and challenges. As the factory repairs progressed, the once divided townspeople started to come together, inspired by the newfound partnership between David and Maria. The project became a symbol of unity, showing that empathy and understanding could bridge even the deepest divides. One afternoon, the townspeople gathered for a community meeting to discuss progress. David stood up to speak. "I know our families have had their differences," he began, his voice steady. "But working alongside all of you, especially Maria, has opened my eyes. We're not so different after all. We all want the best for our families and our community. It's time we start seeing each other as neighbors, not enemies." Maria joined him, her voice filled with warmth. "Empathy has brought us together. By understanding and supporting each other, we've not only rebuilt the factory but also strengthened our community. Let's continue to build on this foundation of trust and unity." The crowd erupted in applause, the divide between them slowly dissolving. The factory reopened, not just as a place of work but as a symbol of what empathy and cooperation could achieve. Through their journey, David and Maria learned that empathy, even in the most difficult situations, leads to positive outcomes. It strengthens character, builds trust, and fosters an environment where people can grow and succeed together. The importance of empathy became a guiding principle in their lives, reminding them that facing challenges with understanding and compassion is always the right path.